Dear friends, good afternoon. On this Monday, April 6th, the 12th day of the month of Nisan, just a few days before Passover, a holiday which we celebrate in the diaspora for 8 days. As well, this week's Torah portion is Shmini, which is 8. So I want to talk today about something that's very fundamental in Judaism, about the number 8 versus the number 7. So let me ask you a question. On what day after the birth do we circumcise a Jewish boy? We don't circumcise them on the 7th day, on the 6th day, or on the 9th day. We circumcise them on the 8th day. Why number 8? Why not just wait a week and circumcise them on the 7th day? What is the significance of number 8? So we are told that 7 represents the idea of nature. There's 7 days in a week. Though we may live and we look forward to living many weeks in our life, 52 weeks a year in the Jewish calendar, 53 weeks a year, several more weeks in the secular calendar, hopefully 120 years. We live for many, many, many weeks, but our life always goes in the cycle of Sunday to Saturday, Shabbat. It's always in the cycle of 7. In the Torah, there are laws related to 7. Every 7th year is the sabbatical year. The land must lie fallow. So the cycle of life follows the number 7. 8 represents going beyond the cycle of life, going beyond nature, because 7 represents the nature that God put in this world. And the nature that God placed in this world is not only physical, material, or things that are not spiritual, but even spirituality fits into this cycle of nature. Shabbat is a spiritual day, but it's part of the 7. Because nature means the way God had planned to set up the world, that there's a pattern that's predictable, a pattern that we all follow, and a pattern of the way things will follow if you follow the course of the way God had told you to do it. But there is a number 8. Number 8 represents going beyond nature. Number 8 represents breaking through nature. So in the natural form of things, you expect a certain outcome based on what your input is. But when we talk about beyond nature is when we expect an outcome that's not necessarily so naturally consequential. And something greater will happen that we don't expect to happen. And there are 2 ways we're told of us living our life. Nature is 7. A kid is born, a child is born. Nature is 7. There's a nature of that child. But when we bring a Jewish child into the covenant with God, we want to give that child and empower that child to be able to break their nature, not to fall under their natural tendencies, but to be able to overcome sometimes their natural failings and their natural faults. We want you to be able to go to something higher, to be able to achieve higher, to achieve more than you thought you can achieve. Everyone has embedded within them the ability to break through nature. In the Jewish way, we do not follow the constellations and to determine who we will be and what we expect to happen. Because as we know, we can all break through nature. We can break beyond our natural course, what was set forth for us, but that comes from us, by us having a certain level of faith and by us having a certain level of pushing ourselves to be able to try to break through that nature. And this is the idea of circumcision, where we do a circumcision on the 8th day to be able to go beyond your nature, to control yourself more than what is just naturally placed into you. And so too it is in the diaspora, when we're dealing with a much bigger challenge to keeping our Judaism in Israel, especially when Jews are the majority or when it's a Jewish country run by Jewish law specifically, to keep the holidays and the Torah mitzvot is easy. What happens when you're a small minority like we are in Canada? Most Jews in the diaspora, we're a small minority. And here we are asked to keep the mitzvot in the same way. Shabbat, holidays, no matter what day of the week they fall out on, kosher, mikveh, family purity. How are we supposed to keep them when everyone around us is not keeping them? It's not easy. It's almost not natural. But yet, we have to overcome. So some of our holidays, Passover and Sukkot, have 8 days because it gives us the strength to overcome what may seem natural or unnatural and to create a new reality. And so it is in all of our lives. We can create two types of relationships with God and in the lead up of how we're going to live our life. One is that we resign ourselves to what we think is natural, to what we think we're capable of, to what we think is expected. And there are many glass ceilings. And if you believe that you fall under nature, you'll never break through those glass ceilings. But we're told to go beyond nature. We're told to be able to live our lives beyond nature where there is no glass ceiling. And when we live our life with a faith in God and a trust in God that ultimately it is His world. And if He told us to behave in a certain way, He told us to live life in a certain way, if He told us that we have to have expectations to happen in our life, and if we have that faith, we take a leap from number 7 to number 8. We become part of the supernatural. And this is the gift given to every one of us that we can claim the supernatural. But that begins with us behaving supernaturally, by us not just doing what we expect. And I think, as a very wise businessman once said, or Albert Einstein, I believe, said it, that you can't expect to do the same thing again and again and expect different results. It will not happen. If you do the same thing again and again, you'll get the same results. But if you start behaving differently, you start believing differently, you will get very different results. And this is the message for all of us. Start believing strongly, believe in yourself by believing in God, that we can go beyond nature, that we can behave in ways that are unnatural. To be sequestered is not natural, but we can step above that and we can find within being in a lonely place to a certain extent, whether you're alone literally or with your family, and yet step up and grow at this time. Grow internally, grow within our family, grow within our own characteristic building, and grow in our faith. And we can even reach way further in our personal lives at this time than in any other time. So I want to wish you shalom, a great day, and may we live above and beyond nature.